Sometimes when I bump into a wall, I proceed to apologize to the wall and feel bad. And also, I sometimes get stuck in my head, like literally stuck in my head, where I become almost like completely unaware of my surroundings and I cannot get out of my imagination hole in my head, and I just get stuck there because I'm like, I got one foot in my surroundings and one foot in my head, and I also have a really big imagination that sometimes consumes my brain a little bit. But you know what? That's okay, because everybody's weird, man. And I embrace my weird, you know what I mean? Like, I love my weird. I love myself. Sometimes. And, you know, it's okay to be weird. It's okay to not be normal. Sometimes I feel bad that I'm not normal, but then, you know, I say to myself, you know what? It's okay, because there is no such thing as normal. And everybody is weird. Everybody's got their quirks, and some people are just better at hiding it than other people. Sometimes I think to myself, I'm really sad. I'm really sad that I'm not normal. I'm really sad that, you know, I see other people and they have lots and lots of friends and they're really good at socializing. And then I look at my life and I say, I only have like one friend that I ever talk to. And even then, I don't feel like I have a whole lot of like super close best friends other than my siblings. But you know what? That's okay, because it's okay to not be like everyone else, and it's okay to not have lots of friends, and it's okay to be sad. I also cry really a lot. I also cry really easily, and sometimes I feel like this last year I've been crying a lot more than I normally do, you know, because of the state of everything. I think it's kind of reasonable to be crying most of the time, not gonna lie. But you know what? That's okay, because it's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad, and it's okay to cry a lot, especially even though I'm a dude. Even though, well, that's debatable, but you know what I mean. And yeah, this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. You know, I've been feeling kind of depressed, and I've been kind of sad, and I've been feeling like I don't feel capable of doing things or, you know, getting stuff done. And also my ADHD feels really bad. Though to be fair, my ADHD has always been pretty bad. But, you know, like, it's been especially bad lately. You know, I'm still unemployed and still don't have a job. And I still am, you know, laying in bed most all day. Almost every day. And, you know, I'm kind of been crying a lot, but that's okay. It's okay to be sad, and it's okay to not want to get out of bed. But you know what? I did it today. I got out of bed, and I decided I'm gonna make a video today. So I did. And here I am now, recording a video for y'all, because you guys have missed me so much, because you are my lovely fans who love me, your dear Lord and Savior, the almighty YouTuber, Cryzen Otaku. Sometimes I wonder, what is normal? Well, nothing. There is no such thing as normal. And, you know, sometimes it's easy to compare myself to other people, especially when I don't know anything about their lives except for the stuff that you see on the surface and on social media. Sometimes I'm surprised when I hear people say what they're going through, and I'm like, wow, oh dang, I thought you were like super happy all the time, but you're not. And that's also okay, because it's okay for other people to not be happy. You know, but sometimes it's just like, you just never know a person. You just never know somebody until, you know, they show you who they are. And sometimes that's intentional or unintentional, and sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's not so good. You know, sometimes you think someone is a bad person, and then they're actually a really good person. And sometimes you think that somebody is a really cool person, and then they turn out to be not so cool. And you know what? That's okay, because everybody is weird, and everybody's different. And you know what? Love yourself, man. Just, you know, keep the people that are cool, and, you know, don't talk to the mean people as much, if you can. If you can help it. Sometimes, though, you're in situations where you have to talk to people that are mean to you, and, you know, that really sucks. I've been there, man, but you know what? Don't let what other people being mean to you make you feel like you're not good enough, you know? Because you are good enough, and I'm good enough, and not everybody, but lots of people are good enough. You know, like people, I don't know, I was going somewhere. But also, it's okay to not want to give mean people grace. It's okay to not want to be all honky-dory when someone kicks you in the face and then you fall down and fall in the mud on your face. It's okay to not want to fully forgive someone for that, because sometimes people don't, you know, sometimes you don't need to forgive people for stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, you can forgive them, and that's good too, but sometimes it's okay to take your time. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people kind of like need to apologize and stuff, and need to, you know, be like, I'm sorry, man, I shouldn't have kicked you in the face, and I shouldn't have pushed you in the mud. But you know what? I did it because I felt mean. But you know, also like, you know, sometimes people will be like, oh, maybe they're just having a bad day. Well, you know what? That doesn't excuse people for being an asshole. You know what I mean? But if they apologize, then that does make it a little bit better. But I don't know. Sometimes I struggle with getting all up in my head and in my biz. You know, sometimes, like, this is how weird I am, but this might not be as weird as I think it is. Sometimes I get really all jacked up in my head because someone will say something that hits me weird, and you know what? I get all jacked up in my head, and I get all sad, and you know what? That's okay. Sometimes, though, I start to make up problems that don't exist, or sometimes I'll do this thing where, like, I'll have a conversation in my head, and there will be this voice, usually accompanied by the image of somebody I know in real life, and they'll be like, well, that's stupid, and then I'll see that voice and I'll be like, oh man, now I'm all mad now. And, you know, it's weird that happens because it wasn't real. It was just in my head, and I just imagined somebody saying something mean to me. And then sometimes I'll, like, even be mad at the person that I imagined in my head. And it was like, that didn't happen. That wasn't real. They didn't actually say that shit. You know, my brain is weird. I don't really know why I do that. I just think I just have a big imagination, and I think I think it's like an autistic thing or an ADHD thing. I think it's just that I run simulations of social experiences in my head before they actually happen, so I can be more prepared for it. But you know what also happens is that a lot of the time, I'll like rehearse it in my head, and then like the situation comes to me, and it goes nothing like how I imagined it would go. You know what else I have? I also have a lot of anxiety, and I've had anxiety since I was like 10. And you know, I used to like, my anxiety when I was a kid was like paralyzing, I swear to God. Like, it was literally, I felt like my anxiety would stop me in my tracks, and I just couldn't move because I was so anxious. And you know, like there was one time I used to be afraid of my 4th grade teacher when I was a kid, because she would yell at me a lot, or at least in my 10-year-old brain, she would yell at me a lot. And so, you know, I remember one time I had to go to class, and I just got to the door, and I kept trying to go into the door, but then my legs would walk in the other direction when I get to the door, and I couldn't control it. I couldn't help it. I kept trying to go inside the classroom, but every time I tried, I would just start walking in the other direction, you know. And I can't remember if it was willingly or unwillingly, but, you know, it's what happened, and I was late to class that day. And, you know, I don't know, I also have a lot of social anxiety, though I've gotten a lot better. I'm usually a lot more confident. I mean, lately I've been less confident because I've been depressed, but, you know, as of the last year or so, I've been a lot more confident and a lot more like, I love myself, and I don't give a flying fuck what people think anymore. But sometimes it still actually does secretly get to me. But, you know, like, I don't know, I've started to just do this thing. Well, this is something I used to do when I was a teenager, but I stopped doing. But I started to do this thing where I've started naming my anxiety. So I named my anxiety Cornbread, because cornbread sounds like a name that you can't take very seriously. So whenever I get anxious, I just go, shut the fuck up, Cornbread. And sometimes it goes away, and other times it doesn't. But, you know, that's just what I do. So, yeah. Sometimes I wonder if I'm crazy. Sometimes I wonder if I'm normal and everybody else around me is crazy. And other times I think, I mean, I do live in a pretty weird place. Because I live in Utah, which is probably the weirdest place on Earth. Not weird in a good way, like weird in a, I feel like I'm being suffocated by the society around me kind of weird. And like, I feel like I live in a culty place, which, I mean, I kind of do. And, you know, sometimes I'm like, you know what, it's everybody else that's weird. I'm normal. I'm not crazy. And you know what? Maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe it is everybody else is weird. And you know what? Everybody is pretty weird, especially here. But you know what? That is okay. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I've kind of ran out of things to say, so anyway, if you liked watching the ramblings of a crazy man, you're welcome. And please like and subscribe and comment if you related to anything I had to say here. It would really help boost my video. And I've heard that the algorithm is getting slightly, ever so slightly better and less fucked. So hopefully this video will do better than the last like 12 videos I've posted. Almost all of my videos lately haven't been able to pass 100 views. So I'm hoping that this one does better. But anyway, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.